Hey everyone, I'm going to be playing 4 tables of NL5, and this is going to be a two-part series. So let's just play. I don't really have stats, so I'm just going to stick to solid play. And hopefully we can get into some interesting spots. So with 7-5 suited, I could up to call here, but I think that the average player at this limit is 3-betting a lot tighter, so I'll just fold here. A6 suited, I think we can just check call the flop. It's a hand which can only go for one street of value in a three-way situation, so it's probably best to play it passively. The turn is a clear call. Would I call 3 streets? I might call if all the draws miss. The 10 is a really good card. I don't think he has ace 10 and pocket 10s that often. I would definitely call the river if he bets. And with queen 10, I think it's a very clear raise. 3 to 4 big blinds is reasonable. 8-9 suited, it's a fold. Queen 9 suited, it's a default raise for me. Queen jack off is a pretty clear call against a min raise. Against a 3 big blind raise, if you want to play tighter, I think you can fold. Here, 3-way in position with 2 overs and the queen high backdoor flush draw and some backdoor straight draws. I think it's a pretty clear bet. Here, queen jack off. Against solid players, I would not stab here. Against a fishier looking player, maybe betting there might be better. I'm not really sure. I guess he is silver star, but everyone at NL5 is silver star, so that might... I think I made a mistake, kind of, because silver stars at my limit... Silver star players at my limit tend to be fish because it's very easy to be like a platinum star if you play higher. But I guess that's the norm at this limit. Queen 10 off. On the turn, it coordinates the board further, which means it actually helps his range more. I'm just going to give up. I don't think it's a good spot. I also don't have equity to improve. And yes, he would definitely not have folded the set. Okay, pocket 7s. I'm sticking with a 2.5 big blind raise size from the button. You can go 3 big blinds as well, especially if your opponents are all passive. Here, queen 10 off. I think it's close. I wouldn't mind raising or checking. It would be nice to know how wide this guy is limping. I guess I feel like raising. King 9 would be kind of a loose ISO raise, but I'm in the button. I want to isolate the weak player. I think I can play it in a profitable manner. Pocket 7s, 3-way, he leads out. There's some draws, but I think it's a bit too weak to call on this cut. He can have plenty of 10x, queen x. Okay, so on this cut, I have probably 1 to 2 streets of value. I would be inclined to check back a hand like ace queen. With king 9, maybe bet flop check turn, bet river. I guess I feel okay about a 10 coming on the turn as well, since I have the lower straight. So checking flop could also be okay. It's kind of close. He 3-bets pre-flop and I call. It's a bit loose given that he's actually a short stack, so I don't really like the call. It's a mistake. Ace jack. I have 2 overs and backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. I wouldn't mind betting the flop. I think checking to give up is also reasonable. Here I pick up some equity. It's kind of a scare card, so I'm just going to bet out and hope they fold. So the river is interesting. I get to fold out like queen jack, ace club x, I don't think he ever folds a king. So maybe a half pot bet could work to just fold out his worst hands, his better hands, which is not a king. He might have some like 8x or 10x which opts to call once. Pocket fives, this is kind of close, probably close to the bottom of my range for calling the turn, for calling the flop I mean. I would just try to showdown. I don't see any point in betting. Better hands call, worse hands fold. I don't think he would ever fold a queen, and he might just call, check call turn, check call river. I'm just going to fold the river. I think that I have plenty of queen x to call down, and I think that he is not going to be all that bluff heavy there. Jack queen 2 overs, he bets half pot. I'm kind of tempted to call. If he bets like over 20 something cents, maybe folding is better. I don't even have like queen of spade or jack of spade. But here, he's giving me good pot odds. I might be folding out a bit too much of my equity share if I fold to such small bets. Here, three-way, it's checked around. I probably have the best hand like 90 something percent of the time. So I'll just bet turn, bet river. Okay, I get into a pretty sick spot. So he checks flop, raises the turn. I don't think I can fold. He might have queen 10, queen 9, queen 8 pretty often. He will have the occasionally slow played nut flush. Maybe ace queen or king queen, but I think that would usually bet. Okay, so the turn, the river. I don't think I can check call. That would be too loose. If we were deep, I could consider check raise bluffing. Here, I think his range has plenty of ace highs, and that's definitely not folding the turn. So I'm just giving up. Here, he bets kind of small. I feel like raising is better. Any 4, any 5, any heart kills my action. And I think he has plenty of overpairs which will not fold. Okay, this is not a very good card. So I need to ask myself, is he bad enough to pay me off with an overpair, even on this flush board? He's playing 4 tables of Zoom. He's probably on the raggier side, so it's probably not that bad of a player. I think I'll check turn and value bet river. Okay, that's unfortunate. If he bets the river, that would be a pretty interesting spot. Okay, so he ends up having pocket queens. I guess I saved myself some money. Should I bet the turn? I'm still not exactly sure. It's close. If he check raises the turn with many hands, then it would suck for me. Table 1, with so much equity in the hand, gut shot straight flush draw. You can never go wrong just betting and barreling every single turn, and probably you could consider firing some rivers. Okay, that's pretty bad. So I can't remember what he did. I think he led the flop and called a raise. Oh, okay. Yes. And he check jam the turn. That's just pretty bad. When we are multi-way, I'm definitely going to be a lot tighter. Okay, so he bets the flop and checks the turn. Definitely can't bet large for value. Maybe a small protection bet could work, just to charge his overcards. Okay, the king is such a nasty card. He might try to wrap it. I'm wondering whether I would call. Here with the gut shot, I feel like definitely have to call here. And on table 4, I'm just going to check call again. Standard line with top pair, call twice and decide river. If there are plenty of draws, just consider bluff catching on a blank. Table 1, my general line is just to bet the turn almost always when check 2 with a straight draw. Checking Checking turn and bluffing the river is not so good unless your opponent, of course it's important to do it sometimes as a bluff. If you only do it with value hands, your opponent can just hero fold. Okay, this card completes like king jack, ace king, ace jack and flushes, so I have to fold here. So I think in general it's just better to bet the turn, and you always have the option of bluffing the river even if it breaks off. The drawback to betting the turn is that you might get checked raise, but that's going to be really rare at this limit. Even at higher limits it's also pretty rare. So I almost always prefer betting myself. Okay, so he leads into me. I think I have to call once with ace high. Could have some random garbage. The 6 is pretty bad card. 3-4 gets there. 4-6 gets there. But I do think I have a tiny bit of showdown value. He 3-bets me pre, he bets the flop. Against a wide range, ace queen high is an easy call. His bet is a bit on the larger side. I think people are generally a bit tighter. I also have no backdoor draws, so I'm going to make a tight fold. Yeah, so he leads randomly. Okay, so 9-7 suited, definitely an open. Ace 8 suited is also definitely a defend. I'm going to check call the flop. Ace high is a pretty standard call on a paired flop. Assuming he's c-betting with a pretty high frequency, it's definitely going to be a plus EV call. Jack 9 is definitely too weak to ISO raise. And I'm just going to check fold. Table 2, I should just check call again. I have showdown value against some of his hands. So he did check back the turn. I think I should value bet the river against like queen jack, maybe even king jack, which may not bet the turn. Queen 10. I split with most of his aces anyway, so I don't think he will necessarily bluff the river all that much, given that he didn't bluff the turn. I guess the ace is more of a better bluffing card compared to the king, but I still think that if he doesn't bluff the king, he's unlikely to bluff the ace. And he will often have a queen, which might call a river bet. Table 3, it isn't the best board to bluff at. There's a flush draw. It's not that coordinated, but I do not have any backdoor draws. And at the same time it's paired, so generally my full equity will be a bit higher on a paired flop. All things considered, I think using a high frequency c-bet strategy is probably the best way to go. So table 1, I'm in position. Table 4, I make a loose open because I think I'm better than my opponents. You can fold, it's a bit loose. Jack 10 suited, I kind of suspect they are on the tighter side, so I will just fold. When your opponent has an overpair really often, it makes no sense to call with Jack 10 suited. Pocket deuces, I guess I could fold here. I have an open-ender plus a weak flush draw. If I had a stronger flush draw, I might be more inclined to raise. Here I don't really want to build the pot, because if I hit a flush, I don't really want to put in a ton of money. King Queen suited could be a 3-bet for thin value, but I would recommend calling if you're not so comfortable 3-betting weaker hands. Here's a standard call, and river is going to be a pretty tough spot. 8 pairs, I definitely cannot value bet this hand, especially after he pots the flop. Pots the turn, I mean. King Queen against a min raise, it's a really clear call. So I guess in general against a min raise, you can just play fit or fold. You're getting good enough odds to fit or fold, and min raises, I find that they are stronger than usual. Easy raise on table 2. So if I have reason to believe that he's 3-betting me white, then I might float the flop with overs. Here, ace queen is a pretty standard squeeze. If he 4-bets me, it might be a push, but at NL5 I suspect people are just not 4-bet bluffing enough, so I would probably fold. So here I have a very clear check back with second pair. I can't go for more than one street of value. When the queen pairs, I think I should just bet large and try to stack his King X type of hands, which I think he would never fold. Jack 10 suited against a min raise, I think I'm getting good pot odds. I'm just going to call. And here, ace queen off, it's another squeeze spot for me. Table 4, I'm just going to raise with a really wide range of hands. Table 2, I think it's a good spot just to overbet and show him who's the boss. He's going to be under a lot of pressure if he has like pocket 8s. I think people overfold here, so maybe it's a good line. Table 3, I wonder if going for 3 streets of value with top pair top kicker is going to be plus EV. So the 9 improves pocket 9s. I don't think he has queen 9 suited. It's a pretty decent card for me. I'm just going to bet the turn and jam the river. Bet flop, re-raise, jam the turn. Pretty sick spot. I think he has a set 6s and 9s really often. Against turn raises, if this were a single raise pot, I'm snap folding here. Given that the pot is already so huge, I wouldn't be surprised to see some draws, some king queen and some queen jack overplayed, so I have to call. Okay, that's really unfortunate that he has queen 9 suited. That's okay. I still think the call was okay. I'm definitely an underdog there, but given the pot odds, I feel like I'm winning enough of the time to justify a call here. 6-7 suited. If he makes it like 40 cents, I might flat here. Once again, with the assumption that people are just not 3-betting enough, 6-7 can be a fold. Of course, if your opponent is re-stealing with a very wide range, then I should make the appropriate adjustment. Queen 10 off, close. I wouldn't mind calling, I wouldn't mind 3-betting. I like to 3-bet or fold most hands in a small blind. I don't like calling all that much. Queen Jack, no, King Jack. If he bets small, I might call. He bets larger, I feel like squeezing more. And here I'm just going to bet. I have some backdoor draws, 2 overcuts. Ace 9 suited, I guess it's a call against a min raise. Yes, good cut to barrel. I'm just going to barrel the turn and maybe bluff a river. Okay, that's unfortunate. I definitely cannot call it off. Okay, here he checks back the flop. I think I have the best hand really often. He will sometimes have ace queen and ace jack, but probably not too often. Okay, the 10 is a hand which is a card which hurts my range to some extent. I no longer beat the lower aces, and he does have some like 10-9, queen 10 type of hands. So what's the best line? Probably half pot, just to ensure that I get max value from his kings. If he raises me here, I can definitely fold. Like, he has a 10 almost always. Okay, here he makes a 3-bet. It's on the larger side, we're kind of deep. I don't mind calling, but I'm not too happy about it. Okay, so I don't think check raising is a good option when we are deep. Table 4, I could bet for protection, but it would suck if I got check raise, so maybe I should just check back. So I would just check call twice and then hope for the best. Table 4, he checks 3 times in a row. Jack 2, I guess he never has an 8, he might have some 9s, he probably doesn't have an ace, so you can just half pot for value. He might have the occasional jack, so I need to size my bet a bit smaller. Table 2, when he jams, if he jams, it would be a pretty clear fold. Table 3, I have 2 overs, but no backdoor draws. It's not exactly the best flop to bluff at. I'm just giving up. Here, table 2, he could have ace king, ace queen sometimes, but I blocked the ace, and I blocked the spades. So he's not going to have a busted draw that much. I guess he could have like 24 combos of ace king and ace queen, but I'm not too sure about his frequencies. And at NL5, I feel like people are often giving up, so I'm just going to be folding here. So maybe I'm making some bad folds. I'm giving them too little credit for showing up with a bluff there, but I'm probably right. I'm readless mostly, but I think it's fine. Okay, I shouldn't have folded here. The guy jammed for 8 cents, so if everyone folded, I might have been able to call. If I'm not wrong, I raised him after he limped, and he leads the turn. That's a spade, which is bad. On the blank, I might call. Table 1 with the gut shot, just bet. That's probably the best line. Okay, a6, I think you have to call any ace high, any ace x pre-flop. On the flop, especially when I have the ace of spade, ace of hearts, I have to call. But even without it, I think we usually need to call ace high on the flop. Of course, if we knew our opponent was a lot more conservative with his c-betting range, which is probably not going to be the case a lot of the time at this limit, then we have to call a bit lighter. Here, I guess I'll just try to show down my ace. Checking and giving a free cut might be disastrous. I feel like he might bluff a lot though. I think I'll just go for check raise. Betting and getting jam on is also okay. The jack is kind of bad. I wonder if I should turn my hand into a bluff. Okay, that's a cooler. Here I check raise. I turn some pretty good equity, so I'm definitely betting. What rivers would I bluff? If he snap calls here, he has a draw pretty often. If he took some time to think before calling, then maybe he has more top pair type of hands which might fold the river. I'm not too sure. He didn't snap call, which is good. If he snap called, I'm probably not bluffing the river. I think this is an okay spot to bluff. Okay, so he's obviously never folding a flush. Pocket deuces, just check, hope to hit a straight. I don't see how my hand is ever good, but I don't really want to turn it into a bluff. I think I'll just give him credit. Pocket sixes on this flop, just check back. I have some showdown value, I have poor equity when called. If he leads, I don't really think I can call, it's just so hard to play. So many nasty cards which could come on the river, and I also have plenty of stronger hands. Jack 8 off is a clear raise. It falls within the top 80% of 50% of hands, which I'm definitely opening. In fact, I'm probably opening 70 to 80% of hands in a small blind when the big blind is a tight player. And people generally defend too tight at this limit, so it probably doesn't hurt to open wide. King 10 suited. Given that this guy called, I think I should call. We have to play cautiously though. So if it goes check and this guy checks the turn, I would take a step. If he bets, he should be pretty strong, right? This is not a very good spot to bluff. So I'm just folding. Easy race against the limb. Wow, I'm starting to feel like they are 3-betting me a lot. I think they are capable of 3-betting light. I feel like calling. So it would really help to have stats here. Definitely calling the flop. Turn is probably a fold because NL5 players don't double barrel enough, in my opinion. Okay, so if he checks here, I can try to bet and blow King Queen off the hand. Maybe even an ace just to wrap the flush. I don't really wrap many bluffs when I bet turn bet river. So it could be a decent candidate to turn into a bluff. Here, the jack is paired. He doesn't have the jack that often. He's bluffing quite a lot. So raising the turn could be okay. I faced a cold 4 bet and people are rarely bluffing here at this limit. So it's probably a fold. Jack 7 is kind of a loose steal, but it's a standard part of my raising range. A6 off. I guess bet turn bet river, but he folds. Nothing much I can do about it. So with trips with no kicker, probably call turn and call a river. I wouldn't be too happy with calling the river, but I feel like it's necessary. Wow, the 8, such a bad card. I don't think I can value bet for sure. Okay, he was going for a check raise. He checks twice, he didn't lead the river. So I feel like I have the best hand really often. His ration, I want to bet small to induce a light call or some random spares. Yeah, so when he checks twice, I think he rarely has a jack, especially when he checked with a pretty quick timing. Here I have a really strong hand, I do pick up even more equity. I should start raising now so I can get all the money in by the river. So 150 plus 150 is $3 plus 72 cents is 372. I'll be left with 350, so I can get stacks in by the river with this size. With ace 8, I have 2 streets of value, so I can bet flop or check flop. I feel like betting the flop now, but either line is fine. So there was supposed to be 372, but PokerStars is always taking off the rig right away. Taking the rig right away. So let's just hope he calls me down. King 9 off, probably just skip a c-bet here. I could go for a delayed turn c-bet or a river c-bet. Okay, so let me sit out and we can stop the session soon. Okay, that's unfortunate that he didn't pay me off. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Do drop me some questions if you are interested in some of the spots covered in this video. It's a bit fast paced when I'm playing for for tables, but I think the pace is pretty okay for this limit. Most of the decisions were fairly standard. I was also playing a bit weak, folding a bit too much to 3 bets, but that's okay because people are just more passive here. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you for listening and see you next time.